or whatever you want to call it, was really quite profound. I went home and I Googled straight away when was the maiden voyage of the first train across the Trans-Canada track. Sure enough, it was late 1800s. It was called the Pacific Express, July 4th, 1886, and it went from Montreal to British Columbia. So I just thought, wow, that was actually really amazing. And like the whole thing probably lasted not even 30 seconds. But it was so mind-blowing. I just thought, now that I'm just, like over the years, I've become so much more involved with all of this and so comfortable with it. When you open that door in your mind and accepting, just, let it come in and let me see it, it does. It's fascinating.
Pretty good that you were able to sort of drop down into that, because, hairdressers are pretty busy, hectic places,
they
aren't they?
Yeah, there's lots of chitter-chatter going on, but it all just faded away. Once I sort of went into that space, all the noise that was actually going on around me in the present world just kind of disappeared. Yeah. And I was in a completely different space.
It's amazing, really. I have this reoccurring dream that doesn't happen that often these days, but used to be quite regularly when I was a bit younger. And it was getting out of a water plane, where they have those, what looks like inflatable barrel things underneath
the pontoons.
The actual aircraft. And I've never been in one of these planes, so I wouldn't know what they look like. But in my dream, I know every detail. And I get out of the aircraft and step on one of these baluster things, whatever they are. Yeah. And I'm handed what looks like a Gladstone bag. So it could have been something medically related. Yeah. But I had to walk from waist-high water onto the beach, onto the shore. And I'm greeted by all of these natives that I've never seen before, and they're obviously expecting me because there's hundreds of them all cheering and shouting on the beach.
What was the climate like?
Well, it was extremely hot. The blue waters were pure turquoise blue. I mean, I could feel it on my skin.
Tropical.
It was clear, crystal clear. Yeah. And having been brought up in Cornwall, there are similar beaches, but the temperatures aren't the same.
No.
And when I grew up, I wasn't exposed to any of those different cultures, and certainly hadn't been anywhere near the Pacific. Yeah. So I'd say, with little knowledge, that they were probably Fijian or from Tahiti or something like that. Okay. But I remember having a dream as a kid, and then wanting to find out a little bit more about where these countries were and what these people looked like. I thought they were beautiful, stunning. I couldn't get enough. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Yeah. But whether that's a dream that has given me a bit of a memory of a previous life, I'm not sure. Yeah.
So was it just the fact that you remember it in such detail would tell me, just from the experiences I've had over the years, that it was something more than just a dream. Because sometimes dreams they can be interpreted so many different ways, like depending on what movie you watched before you went to bed, or maybe an incident that occurred through the day may be interpreted in your unconscious mind. But I think if it's a recurring dream like that, it's a very specific moment in time, and if it's not relating to anything that you could apply it to that you did through the day, then I would think that yes, that was something that a life that you lived once before.
Were
you a man or a woman?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I see my arms. Yep. I'm very tanned. Yeah. And the clothes that I'm wearing, I've got a linen shirt, like a pale blue, and what looks like sort of like brown khaki type shorts. But I don't know. I don't know whether I'm male or female. Yeah. But just saying what you've just said, the fact that I grew up in a caravan, we didn't have TVs. And in the days of people when they did have TVs, nothing was in colour until you got a bit older. Okay. So I mean, that's back in the day. Yeah. I think the only real impression of the islands would have been, in the Pacific, that would have been something like Elvis Presley brought in the days of Hawaii. Yeah. He put Hawaii on the map, but they weren't dressed like that.
So you reckon it was somewhere more in the South Pacific?
But they were natives, and obviously wasn't really what you call a civilization there. You know, it was very basic.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably, probably is right that that's a previous life. But as I don't know for sure. But there was a story that you told me quite some time ago, which I hope won't take up too much of your time, because I know that you're doing your 10 signs of have you been reincarnated, where you talk about your friend Jenny.
Oh yes, Jenny Cockle, who actually lives in the UK these days. Jenny Cockle actually became quite famous back in the 80s when she wrote a book called, I could try to get the name of it now, but it was In Search of Her Many Lives. Hang on, I gotta find it. It's over here somewhere. Where is it?
That's the one.
No, that's not the one. Where is it? Here we go. Across Time and Death. Sorry, she's written so many books, I have to try and find the first one. Yeah. It's called Across Time and Death, A Mother's Search for Her Past Life Children. So Jenny, now I've actually become quite good friends with Jenny on Facebook. She's a lovely lady. Her story was, just coming back to what we're talking about here, started out with her having quite profound dreams when she was a young lady. And these dreams were of another life in another country, which is Ireland. And long story short, she was just constantly being, I guess, pummeled by these dreams to the point where it was like, you need to do something about this. So she started searching for this person who was coming to her in this dream, and discovered that she actually, in fact, had a past, very recent life in Ireland where she had 7 or 8 children. Not a great life as far as she wasn't living lavishly by any means. It was a hard life, and she died very suddenly as a young woman and left all these children behind. And this is the connection, is she was so devastated that she left all those beautiful children behind with not a great dad to look after them. The guilt was just so awful that this is what she actually, what actually brought her back so quickly. She wasn't gone for very long before she came back into the physical world, and she actually found those children that she had actually mothered in a past life. And it's the most remarkable story. It really is. And it's just like, you really have to open your mind.
I like the fact that she had drawn a plan of where she lived, the small village, and was able to intuitively work out about whereabouts outside of Dublin.
It was Malahide or something, wasn't it?
That she came from. Yeah. But you're going to be talking to her in another episode.
She's coming up in a few weeks. We're going to organise an interview with Jenny and sort of get her version of events. And she's a very, very interesting lady to talk to. Yeah. She's also very good friends with Brian Weiss, who is the author of Many Lives, Many Masters, which is a very popular book that was written back in the 80s or the 90s. But anyway, just going back over my little list here, we also have unexplained phobias. So you come into this life and you have a fear of drowning, or you have a fear of claustrophobia, or anything that, if there's no explanation in this current life, then we start. This is where hypnosis comes
phobias, in. Though, haven't they? The weirder the better.
The weirder the better.
Yeah, I don't like feathers.
Don't even go there. Yeah. But it's
Don't touch me.
It's one of those things that once you're under hypnosis, you'd be amazed once they start doing past life regressions, the stuff that can come out and what is in relation to what's causing that phobia. You can have a powerful empathy, as if you've been in another person's shoes, in relation to what you're experiencing. All of a sudden you have this really strong feeling about, I get this. It's because in the past life you were on the other side of the coin. And now in this life, and this is where karma kind of comes into it, because now you're experiencing what you maybe did to someone else in the past life. So, which I kind of like that idea. A strong connection to significant people in your life, and this is where we touched on briefly before about cluster groups. When you're in the soul world or the spirit world, you have certain people that are kind of like the cast in your play.
Yeah, I like that term. I think that's a great one, because when you do sort of go to that higher plane, you do create connections or friendships in the spirit world that become your community, and they do play a role in your reincarnated life. time after time until you get something else to do, like drive a bus.
Whatever happens to come along, yes. Well, we're starting to get to wind up time, so we'll just quickly go through these. So if you're drawn to certain countries, certain people, certain places, or you have a powerful cognition of past and future events, or like a strong instinct of something coming, or something that's happened before, or you've been down this road before, sort of thing. The other one is being in amongst a scene before that you may have suddenly had a change to a completely different place, then return to normal, like something like you're hearing conversations, you're hearing things around you that aren't really happening, then all of a sudden you think, wait, what?
Yeah.
And you may also feel out of place where you are at the moment, like in your current life, you feel like you belong somewhere else. That's quite often indicative of you, what was I trying to say? If you're indicative of trying to be in another, you want to be in another place because you've got unfinished business. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah. So just to, all that's really interesting, and just to kind of like wind that up a little bit, you can read Jenny Cockrell's Across Time and Death, and then Brian Weiss, who's got many books that's out. Just a quick one on the card that I drew today. It's the Ten of Cups, and the key words for that is family, happiness, joy, peace, harmony, promise of more to come, and safe haven. So if you don't know what the card looks like, it's a rainbow with cups in it, and there's 10 of them.
It's a lovely card.
And it's a family that are together. Mum and dad are hugging each other, and the children are dancing. So it's about happiness and joyful things to come, and it's a really significant card. So if you need to hear some good news, this is coming for you. Anyway, we'll look forward to speaking to you next time. Thanks to Russell Walder for the loan of his music, and the quote of the day.
Yes, the quote of the day is from actually Dr. Brian Weiss, who says, "Learning the lessons of life can be so simple if you believe in immortality." Just believe.
Till next time.
Yes, believe.
Miss you already.
It's not that hard. Yay. And what are we going to talk about next week?
Well, we're going to be talking about Atlantis.
Ooh, that sounds exciting.
Let's see.
Yes. In the meantime, namaste.
Yeah, look after yourselves. Hopefully we'll hear from somebody. Send me an email.
Yes. Namago.
Yeah.